We have to get them to buy. And if you don't learn sales, business is going to be really tough for you. I remember my first 2 years, I made $2,000 total and just didn't have a clue how sales worked. Then I went and did door-to-door sales, and the very next year in my business, I made $1 million. But it wasn't until I had to learn how to transfer this knowledge to my team that I had to come up with a repeatable framework that they could follow so it would become a repeatable process. And I want to show you what that is on the board. Here's the acronyms. It's I, D, S, P, O, C, CO. Okay? This obviously is not a very beautiful acronym, but this is how you can remember what to do. So when we start, we want to do what we call an intro. You can also call this a pre-frame. All you want to do on this is set expectations for the call. The reason this is important is in any situation, if you set expectations for what is supposed to happen, nobody is going to be surprised or expect anything different. So if I get on a sales call and say, look, the point of this call is to figure out what your goals are, what you're struggling with, and what you've tried. By the end, if you feel it's a fit, we're going to look for a yes, you can work with us, or you can say no, you don't want to work with us. Whatever you decide to do is fine, but the point of the call is by the end you feel confident in one of those two things. Does that sound fair? So now they know, it's like, okay, we're going to go through this call, and by the end, you're expecting me to do one of these two things. You can do an intro however you want, but for me, I like to lay out what I'm going to do on the call so they know what to expect, and then hopefully by the end they give a yes or no decision. The next thing is going to be discovery. Now in discovery, this is where we're going to start asking questions. What's your goal? What are you struggling with? What have you tried? Have you ever had a coach before? Have you ever done any programs? Whatever it is we're selling. There's really 3 key things that we want to do inside of discovery to get them to make a decision today. The first is opportunity cost. So especially when I'm selling business consulting, I'll say, look, how long have you been stuck at this problem? 6 months. Okay. And if you fixed it, you probably would have made an extra $20,000 a month, right? So far you've lost out on $120,000 by not making a decision. Is that accurate? To get them to understand that I want them to make a decision today, because by delaying making a decision, they've already lost a ton of money. The other thing that I want to do is make sure that they're willing to move forward ASAP. So I want to ask questions around, hey, so as long as you feel this is a fit, there's no reason you wouldn't move forward today, right? Like, you want to fix this problem. It's super important to you. It's on the top of your priority list. Whatever questions you want to have around that. So once we have made them come up with a number for opportunity cost, which is really important because a lot of times prospects will think by not making a decision they're not losing anything, when in reality they're losing a lot, and then that they're going to move forward today, we can move towards the next frame. The frame is a summary. And so what I do here is I will say, look, just to be clear, your goal is this, you're struggling with this, you've tried this, and as long as we can show you that we can get you results and make this much money, you're going to move forward on the calls. That all sound accurate? And I basically just re-summarize everything we just went through and get them to confirm that that is correct and I didn't miss anything. After that, we're going to go into what we call the pillars. Now, I've done this in a few different videos. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on it, but what the pillars is what are the 3 main reasons that someone should work with you? So in this case, let's say you're selling consulting, right? What are the 3 main reasons that someone should work with you? Let's say in this case, in most businesses, a big thing that they deal with is offers, right? And so we would want to take a they versus we frame, meaning, all right, so the first thing we're going to fix is your offer. And what most people do is this, that's terrible. And what we do is this, that's amazing. And that's why you should work with us. The second thing could probably be something around lead generation. All right. And if you don't know what the main things are that your avatar struggles with, go talk to different competitors, go talk to, go in different Facebook groups, go on social media. Like, usually most businesses have the same issues. In my case, usually it's an offer and lead generation issue almost every time. So I take the same frame. Most people get leads this way, which is dumb. We get leads this way, which is smart, right? And I'm pushing myself as far away from everyone else as possible so I can charge a high price. And then finally, I usually will do something about me. If other companies help with offers and other companies help with lead gen, why would I still be the best choice? Well, I've done $115 million in sales. So that means that I'm probably smarter than someone who's done less, right? So you use something of authority that you could use. One of my buddies has sold his company for around 50 million. He could say, I've sold a company for 50 million. That's why you should listen to me. So the pillars is going to be around 2 things usually that are the biggest needle drivers or movers for that business. And then the third one would be something about yourself. Then we move over to what we call the overview. The overview should be 5 minutes or less of what they're actually going to get tangibly inside your program. So this could be, hey, you're going to get, X amount of one-on-one calls. You're going to get a school group. You're going to get this. You're going to get that. It's just very briefly so that they can tangibly understand what they're going to get. Most people don't care what they're going to get, but I just noticed that if I don't at least explain it briefly, that it makes it harder for me to close because they want at least a little bit of an understanding of the deliverables. After that, we're going to go into creating certainty. Certainty, we want to get people as close to 100% as possible that this is going to be the right decision for them. If you ask someone, hey, now that you've heard everything, how do you feel? And they go, sounds pretty good. That means they're not 100% certain. If I say, hey, now that you've heard everything, how does it sound? And they say, yeah, I mean, it sounds amazing. Like, how do I sign up? That is close to 100% certainty. We can't always get people to 100%, but we want to get them as close to it as humanly possible. Then we close. So that's just saying, hey, the price of the program is $10,000 or whatever the price is. And then we handle objections. And the only 4 objections you're ever going to get, if you've qualified properly, is price, spouse or business partner, time, so they need to think about it, or belief. And then once they close, you want to reinforce their decision. And the 3 things that I've seen make the biggest difference is you send a personalized video. So I'll send a video to a client that says, hey, super excited you just joined the program. As you come in, just really work hard. We're going to be the shovel, so to speak, and you just have to dig the hole. So it'll be difficult, but as long as you use the tools and processes and resources we give you, you're going to get great results. Then we have a very quick onboarding, usually within 24 hours if possible. And then the final thing would be to book their next call so that they feel like we know what we're doing and that we have a very good fulfillment process in place. So now that we've gone through the sales process, we have to get them to buy more times. Now there's really 8 ways we can do this. First is we can increase the price. So if we're selling something for $1,000, now we charge $2,000. Number 2 is we could decrease the cost. So let's say I'm selling a shoe for $5 and I use a different manufacturer and I'm selling it for $3. We can also get them to buy more times, meaning that if it was a protein powder or maybe it's protein bar, we could put them on a subscription so they're buying more often. Another thing could be buying more quantity. So especially in wholesaling, you can see this where, if it's you buy 100, it's going to be at $20 per pallet, let's say, but if you buy 1,000, it'll be at $15 per pallet. So you get more quantity. You can also get them to buy something else. So something I do inside my businesses is we are a done with you consulting business, but a lot of people need setters, closers, ads. And so we actually can sell them done for you services over here that they need in addition. So that actually increases our LTV and our ROI. Number 6 is increase the quality. So increasing the quality of the service so that you get more people to buy, maybe more word of mouth. You could decrease the quantity. So maybe you put limit on supply and demand. So you can actually charge more because there's only so much quantity. Or finally, you could actually lower the quality, or maybe you could sell more, but it's not as high of a quality service. Now, ultimately, all of these can work, but what I've seen work the absolute best and is the easiest thing to do to grow your business is simply just focusing on increasing the price. Because if all things stay equal and you increase the price, you're gonna make more money with doing little to no extra work. And so a rule of thumb that I had for this is I actually started selling my services at $1,500. And then every time I would make, give or take 3 to 5 sales, I would raise it by at least 20%. When I started with my fitness business, I first sold it at $1,500, then I sold it at $2,000, then I sold it at $2,400, then I sold it at $2,800, then I sold it at $3,200, and so on and so forth. So I just kept raising my price until I started seeing that the price I was saying a lot more, I was getting a lot more no's than yeses, and that's where I settled on $3,200 for about 4 months. For my fitness packages was about $800 a month. And so every time you make a sale, every 3 sales or so, you could try to increase your price by about 20% until you start getting more objections on price than you get yeses like you were before.